Game ready. No rust. That'll be the Phillies' challenge during a 5-day layoff leading up to Saturday's Game 1 of the NLDS. The Phils held a mandatory workout Tuesday afternoon at Citizens Bank Park. They'll play a simulated game on Wednesday, trying to keep minds and bodies in baseball mode. That's never a problem for us. We're always in baseball mode. Our SNC special, Red October, starts right now. Welcome to our SNC special Red October, presented by your local tri-state Toyota dealers, proud partners of the Philadelphia Phillies. Ricky Bottalico, Ben Davis, I'm Michael Barkann, and we head over to Citizens Bank Park in a few moments for a Taryn Hatcher report. But for the last month, we displayed a playoff bracket accompanied by the words, "If the postseason started today." Guess what? The postseason is underway. 4 best-of-3 wild-card series will be contested this week. That includes the Mets and Brewers. The winner of that series will face the Phillies in the NLDS. Ricky Bo, who do you want, New York or Milwaukee?
I want to play New York. You know what? I'm one of those guys who likes to go directly at the Dragon. And if they want to be that Dragon, then so be it. I believe these teams should be saying to themselves, man, I don't want the Phillies, because I think the Phillies are the best team in this National League, and I think you have to come into our house and try to beat us. I'm not really in the mood for anything, and I would like to have the Mets come in and just knock them down once and for all.
Yeah, the only shame of it is you can't get the Mets in the NLCS, but that's okay. We'll take it as it comes. The Phillies won the season series against the Mets and Brewers. They went 7-6 against New York and 4-2 against Milwaukee. They played each of these teams during a 7-game road trip 2 weeks ago, and they lost 2 of 3 in Milwaukee and dropped 3 of 4 in New York. The Phillies have never played the Mets in a postseason series. They played the Brewers once in the postseason, the 2008 NLDS, which the Phils won 3-1. So, Ben, which of these teams is the more favorable matchup for the Phils?
I would say that the Mets are a little bit more favorable. I think that Brewers, they can be a juggernaut at times, especially with the rotation they have, their devastating bullpen that they have. And the bottom line is I think the Phillies are just a little bit more familiar with the Mets, and they pretty much know what they're going to get. So I would say the Mets would be a best bet for the Phillies. But I would be sure to ask any one of those players over there, who do you want? They said, we don't care. We just want to go out there and play baseball and kick somebody's tail.
All right, here's the thing, though. The Phillies are in the midst of 5 days off until they play next Saturday in the NLDS. So rest versus rust when the division series begins on Saturday. The Phillies trying to avoid the rust part of the equation. As such, Tuesday they held a mandatory workout at Citizens Bank Park. They'll play a simulated game on Wednesday. Then they have a voluntary workout Thursday, followed by an MLB-mandated workout on Friday. Taryn Hatcher covered Tuesday's workout and has more on the Phils trying to stay sharp during the bye week.
Well, there's plenty of positives that come with securing the bye, whether it's setting your starting rotation, getting healthy, scouting your potential NLDS opponents. But according to Phillies president of baseball operations, Dave Dombrowski, there are also some drawbacks, and he's especially concerned with making sure the Phillies bats stay ready. But the Phillies staff have come up with a plan to combat the potential of unproductive bats.
To me, and I've said this before, I think when you have this time period, and I realize that we're going to approach it very well, I always, when we come back, even after an all-star break, I'm more concerned about our offense getting going. It just is. Guys have days off. We're a routine-oriented. I know that we're going to now, during an all-star break, you don't have control of the players. That's different than that. But now we're in a position where we can work on high level, on high volume velocity machines, work on the curveball machine. We're going to throw batting practice, have actually inter-squad game tomorrow, and some guys will throw again on Thursday. But I always worry more about the offensive perspective of the game, because days off that way can normally cause you concern.
As far as just, keeping our bodies ready, staying in shape or whatever, and, just keeping our swing sharp, our mind sharp, and all that stuff that just comes with, playing the game a little bit. Obviously, we're in scrimmage tomorrow, but I mean, we'll see in the end. But there's really no excuses about rest or whatever. We won the division, we got the bye, now we go play Saturday.
We know that this is preparation and it's not off days. You want to go in and be ready to go and feel good and ultimately play good and move this thing along.
And don't worry, there was a heavy dose of defense at Tuesday's practice. In fact, they opened up practice with quite a bit of defensive work. Coming up on Wednesday, an intra-squad scrimmage. And apparently there is a wager. There is some skin in the game on this. Unfortunately, most of the players either didn't know or just weren't willing to tell us what that is. From Citizens Bank Park, Taryn Hatcher, NBC Sports Philadelphia.
Thank you, Taryn. Bryson Stott, interesting quote. It's preparation, not off days. I think that is very important to underscore. Preparation, not off days. Continuing the conversation on Wednesday's simulated game, Ricky Bowe, former player, how beneficial, in your view, are simulated games?
In all honesty, I think it depends on the individual. What are you going to take out of this? Are you going to go in there and take this like a real game? Are you going to go in there and track pitches? Are you going to swing at some pitches? Because I think there's guys. I mean, if you remember back in the Chase Utley days, he used to love to track pitches. He gets to spring training, would track, wouldn't swing for a couple games. Who knows? There might be some guys doing that. Other guys, maybe just hacking away. I think it really depends on what you're looking for. I think as a pitcher, if you could get in this game, I think it's extremely beneficial. And you have to take it like, they're your enemy. You can't go up against us in a simulated game and just kind of lollygag your way through it. I think you have to really take it seriously and really try to put some high effort into it, or else you're not getting anything out of it.
All right, Ben, former player. How surprised are you that they're only playing one simulated game this week? How much high-intensity work is necessary?
Well, I'm not very surprised it's only going to be one sim game, but I think the way these guys prepare, this is really is a marathon for these guys, and how they prepare themselves for every game. These guys prepare better than anyone I've ever seen, and they're very professional how they go about their business, and it's not going to deter them. Having that one game is only going to help these guys. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these guys, like Ricky said, didn't even take swings. They just want to stand in there and see pitches and see exactly, make sure they get their time down. I'm going to go and go, no, I'm going to take that one. So I think that's the mindset that they're going to have. We heard Taryn say they did a lot of defensive work today, which is great because obviously pitching and defense wins World Series. And if they can do that, they're going to be better off. But I think the veteran presence on this team is going to really lead them to knowing what their bodies can do, what their bodies need, and attack accordingly.
And then Thursday, voluntary workout. There probably won't be anybody there for that.
Whole team will be there.
The whole team will be there.
Johnny Holstaff will be there.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
You got to figure that. It might be voluntary, but it's not voluntary. Dave Dombrowski, Rob Thompson, and company have some decisions to make regarding the Phillies NLDS roster. Fortunately for them, Ricky Bowe and Benjamin have some advice. We unveil our NLDS rosters on our SNC special Red October, presented by your local Tri-State Toyota dealers, proud partners of the Philadelphia Phillies.
Dear Freedom, what forms do you take? More miles driven? More dollars saved? More life embraced? And more electrified vehicles than any other brand? Yours, Toyota Hybrids.
Right now, get great offers on many new Toyota hybrids, including Corolla, Corolla Cross, and the 2025 all-hybrid Camry. Shop online and get your new Toyota from your nearest Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places.
Whether it's baseball or heart care, excellence comes from talent, capability, and hard work. There's no substitute, and the best of the best let the results speak for themselves. Deborah Heart and Lung Center is one of the leading heart hospitals in the country through our alliance with Cleveland Clinic Heart, Vascular, and Thoracic Institute. Accelerated advances in heart treatments, nationally renowned specialists, and measurably better outcomes. When it's your heart, don't take chances. Be sure. Demand Deborah.
Current owners and lessees of an eligible Cadillac vehicle get $4,000 purchase allowance on most 2024 Cadillac Escalade models. Visit your local Cadillac dealer today.
Phillies Talk, a podcast all about your Phil, presented by Team Toyota.
48 hour-by-hour forecast on the NBC 10 app. Count on it.
Here at Comcast, we have a wide range of opportunities. As a company, you invest a lot of time in the growth of your entry-level talent. So you have a program like Per Scholas, which actually does a lot of that for you.
At Per Scholas, we teach everything from IT support, cybersecurity, AWS, and even software engineering.
Per Scholas is covering the cost of the certifications for individuals.
From a financial standpoint, it's super beneficial to look at Per Scholas, grow your tech talent, because that's the advantage that you can get with a Per Scholas graduate.
Get ready for another season of great competition. Join PGA professional Doug Hendricks each week for beautiful courses, helpful tips, and more winning golf shots. Each week, our champions putt to win a new Buick and Vista from the Tri-State Buick GMC dealers, plus great prizes from FootJoy, Titleist, and Bushnell. Winning golf where everybody wins. Sundays at 7 on NBC Sports Philadelphia.
The Phillies schedule this week, presented by Cure Auto Insurance. Mandatory workout at Citizens Bank Park on Tuesday, followed by an inter-squad game Wednesday. There will be an optional workout on Thursday, although as Ricky and Bembo say, it's Johnny Holstaff. They'll all be there, followed by an MLB-mandated workout on Friday. Here's Dave Dombrowski on his expectations for his team this week.
The players realize, and it's through the manager, Rob Thompson, the coaching staff, that we're just not out here showing up for 5 days. And yesterday we took off. I mean, we're going at it high level. We're going intensity level. And I think the players, knowing them, they realize that. They know that they need to do that. Really, the constant message was, you really need to work with intensity. You just can't come and show up. And everybody needs to know that.
You know, if Dombo's talking, it's the postseason. Dave Dombrowski and the front office, as well as the coaching staff, will spend the next few days constructing the Phillies roster for the NLDS. 26 players will be eligible for postseason play. Rob Thompson has indicated that the Phillies will likely carry 14 hitters and 12 pitchers for the NLDS. With that in mind, Ricky and Ben put together their own NLDS rosters. Ricky, you're up first. Who you got?
Obviously we start with the regulars. You got Schwarber, Turner, Harper, Castellanos, Bohm, Real Muto, Bryson Stott, Brandon Marsh, Johan Rojas, and obviously when you get to the bench players, you have to put Garrett Stubbs in there. You need a backup catcher. Austin Hayes, as long as he's healthy, will definitely be in there, and he will start in left field against left-handed pitchers for me. Edmundo Sosa, same thing. Weston Wilson, like the way he swung the bat this season when he's been up. Cody Clemens. I mean, this is the guy who I think is very important to this team. He's had some big at-bats for this team. I know a lot of people kind of fade away on Cody Clemens, but he's had some clutch hits for this team late in games, some game winners. I like him on that lineup.
All right.
Now, here comes my pitching staff. Zach Wheeler, Nola, Christopher Sanchez, Ranger Suarez, no-brainers. Hoffman, no-brainer. Estevez, Alvarado, Kirkring, Ruiz. Now, here's where it gets a little fishy. Tanner Banks, I'm putting in there. Now, Colby Allard, I'm not really sure. In my opinion, I'm kind of looking at this. If Spencer Turnbull throws well, I think he's going to be in the rotation, in the bullpen rotation.
And he will be pitching a simulated game on Wednesday.
Yes.
So we shall see. Ben, your roster, which is going to look obviously similar because of the starters, et cetera, but who do you have?
Yeah, without a doubt. And Ricky and I are on the same page with position players and the fact that, it's going to be the lineup you saw pretty much for 162 throughout the course of the season. And I'm with Ricky, too, on the bench guys, too. Obviously, got to have a backup catcher in Stubbs and Hayes, Sosa, Wilson, and Clemens to round it out there. But this is, obviously, if they do face lefty, I still think you're going to see Hayes in left field, and I still think you might see Brandon Marsh out there for every game. Possible defensive replacement later on the game. with Johan Rojas, but we'll see how that goes. And then with regards to the pitchers, and I'm looking at it to see. I think Spencer Turnbull is going to be ready to go, so I'm gonna ink him in there. Tanner Banks has thrown the ball well since being acquired here. Jose Ruiz has been outstanding for this ball club. He has been very underrated throughout the course of the season. Has gotten himself into high leverage situations, and Rob Thompson really depends on him now. We saw what happened towards the end of the year, and this is being a short series. They can pinch hit for a pinch hitter, and that's why Rob Thompson likes having the extra guys on the bench. If they were to come in and bring a lefty, say up against Cody Clemens, and they can pinch hit for him, and then obviously insert a righty in that situation. So they can use 2 for 1 in a short series, having that extra position player on the bench.
Who's your go-to middle reliever and your go-to closer?
Well, middle, that's a tricky question. It depends on what inning you're talking about. I think Ben is absolutely 100% right. Ruiz has been quite a bridge to the rest of the guys. And I'm talking 5th, 6th inning, sometimes 7th inning. It just depends on the situation that you needed him in. He's done an excellent job. I think the key to the bullpen still lies within Jose Alvarado. If Jose Alvarado is throwing the ball well, I think you could take a big sigh of relief and say, wow, the Phillies have 5, 6 guys out there that could really get the job done at any point, at any time in a game.
Ben, are we counting on the Phillies starters to do what they've done in season? Zach Wheeler, 6 innings, 3 runs or less. Aaron Nola has pitched very well. Sanchez has pitched well. Ranger Suarez has been a mixed bag. Excellent in the first half, not so much in the second half. What are you expecting from the starters?
I'm expecting dominance. I'm expecting to see that staff that we saw throughout the course of the year. Yes, there are some peaks and valleys, but for the most part, the starting pitching kept Phillies in games. They've been very dominant throughout the course of the season. Obviously, going in there with Wheeler, in my opinion, I think they have to win every game that Zach Wheeler starts in the playoffs, because he is going to give them, most likely, the best opportunity to win a ball game. He is that good, and I like to see him go out there and win every game that Wheeler pitches.
100%. The most important start of the playoffs will be Saturday when Wheeler takes them out. I mean, he goes out there and deals. I think you're kind of yawning. And you're saying, hey, that's exactly what we needed to see. And actually, it takes a lot of pressure off of your offense. And, I mean, you always want that. I mean, if Wheeler could go out and throw a gem in game 1, get you off to a good start.
Sure would. So we know Zach Wheeler will start game 1 of the NLDS, but the big question is, who starts game 2? Aaron Nola has been the Phillies' game 2 starter the last 2 postseasons when they've had the opportunity to set up their rotation. But Christopher Sanchez is an intriguing option. Sanchez had a 2.21 ERA at home this season, 2.21. On the road, different story, 5.02 ERA away from CBP. That's a significant difference. Game 2 is at home. Game 3 is on the road. Ricky Bo, who's your game 2 starter?
You know what? I'm not going to lie to you. I've been back and forth on it. I'm going with Nola. I think you stick to what has gotten you there. You stick to what has gotten you going in the past. And I think Wheeler to Nola is always a good 1-2 punch. And, you really don't know how Christopher Sanchez is going to react in a number 2 role in a series. So that's why I'm more or less going with Nola. I think Aaron Nola is used to it. He's got, let's face it, the guy doesn't have an emotion in his body. And it's kind of fun to see when he's out on the mound, because just goes out there and does his job. I like the 1-2 punch of Wheeler to Nola. Hopefully you get up 2-0 in that situation, and takes a lot of pressure off of Sanchez on the road.
However, Sanchez's numbers are better at home than Aaron Nola's numbers at home, even if by a little bit. Ben, where do you sit on this?
Well, I think I'd like to see Sanchez in the 2-hole, and nothing against Aaron Nola, but Sanchez, those numbers speak volumes. It's almost 3 points higher ERA-wise on the road than he is here at CBP. So if you can let him bridge the gap and also break up the righties in Wheeler and Nola, have the lefty go in game 2, I think, and again, nothing against Aaron Nola, but I just think it sets up better, and that's a big sample size. 300 runs more on the road. That's quite the difference.
Yeah, there's only one way we'll know if Rob Thompson is right in his decision. If the Phillies win game 2, the Phillies enter the postseason on a short list of World Series favorites. But will they capture the 3rd World Championship in franchise history? We'll make our postseason predictions. Our SNC special Red October presented by your local Tri-State Toyota dealers, proud partners of the Philadelphia Phillies.
Kyle, is there anything better than crushing home runs and being the home run king?
I can think of one.
Hitting homers in the World Series?
No. Getting great car insurance.
So who is the king of car insurance?
That's easy. Cure Auto Insurance. With savings of over 30%, they're the cure.
Cure Auto Insurance. Drive well.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners, every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
It's hard to believe, but it's true. Even the liberal media was shocked Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners and illegal aliens.
Every transgender inmate would have access.
Kamala's for they, them. President Trump is for you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Well, if you want my 2 cents on interest rates, we got options.
My 2 cents. This one's priced to sell.
My 2 cents?
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 Here's my 2 cents. I'm planning for the future. Interest plus interest equals more interest. Come on, you can drink that.
Hi, Joan. Perfect timing. I have a few questions.
Of course. Let's look at your plan.
Don't freak out, but I think that's the new Halloween scratch-off.
Wow, top prices of 100 grand. Can I start freaking out now?
I'm sure it's just a storm.
Well, I did not see that coming.
Scratch-offs this spooky take on a life of their own. Keep on scratching.
Now, Holly, Route 38. Hey!
Ed, what are you doing?
You said put a game together.
A game plan for our sales event.
Sales event.
It's back, Mount Holly Nissan Season of Savings Sales Event. Choose from our great selection of new and pre-owned Nissans on our lot and ready for you to drive home. Like this new Ultima for only $179 a month.
Ed, go long. Catch a great deal here at Mount Holly Nissan, where our priority is you.
Open.
Sorry, Ed.
Phillies Talk, a podcast all about your Phil, presented by Team Toyota.
Philly Live, weekdays at 11:45 and everywhere you get your content.
Wrap 4 things to know, presented by your local Tri-State Toyota dealers. The Phillies' 19 postseason wins since 2022 are the most in Major League Baseball. They also have a 7-0 record in Game 1s the last 2 postseasons. Rob Thompson has a 19-11 record in the postseason as the Phillies manager. The Phillies have a 28-13 all-time postseason record at Citizens Bank Park. That's a .683 win percentage. It's tops in Major League Baseball history for any club that has played 30 or more postseason games at a home ballpark. By the way, .683 equates to 111 wins over 162. There are several reasons for concern and confidence regarding the Phillies' World Series chances. Ricky Bo, let's start with the biggest concern.
Well, I mean, I think when you look at the Phillies and their offense and the way they've been striking out lately, I think that's the biggest thing that sticks out to me. It started with that series in Milwaukee, also 32 strikeouts in 2 consecutive games. You got to be able to put the ball in play. You got to make the other team work a little bit at least, and then that kind of carried on as they finished out the season. But putting the ball in play to me is going to be big because it turns into fundamental baseball. You get into the playoffs, 1 run might mean everything. You put the ball in play, you might pick up that extra run.
All right, Ben, that's the concern. What's the biggest reason for confidence in the Phillies upcoming?
Well, I think it's the starting rotation, and you're going to look at. I still think Ranger Suarez is still going to have some say in the playoff picture. But you got Zach Wheeler, my favorite pitcher in all the game, and then you have Sanchez or Nola, depending on how you want to go, and then possibly Ranger later on. But you're looking at a pretty good 4-headed monster coming out of that bullpen with Hoffman and Estevez and Strahm and Kirkgreen. I think has been throwing the ball absolutely brilliantly recently for the Phils. So this is Strahm, righties or lefties, I'll take him any day of the week. And you got Hoffman, who has swing and miss stuff. And you got Estevez that, obviously they went out and acquired him to be a back end guy. But I think, Rob Thompson has some situations there that he can really match up and say, you know what, I like this pocket of hitters for Alvarado. I like this pocket of hitters for Kirkgreen, so on and so forth, and he can attack accordingly.
All right, couple of questions for you quickly. One, Harper and Bohm. Harper hasn't had his power that he's had. He's got elbow and arm issues. Bohm hasn't had a hit in a little bit. How clean do you wipe the slate going into the postseason, Ben?
When you're talking about Bryce Harper, you wipe it clean immediately, and Alec Bohm is just a pure professional hitter. You wipe that. I know he was a little frustrated towards the end of the year. I know he really wanted to get to that 100 RBI mark. It did not happen for him. But the last thing I'm concerned about with Bryce Harper is power and a lack thereof, especially in the postseason, because he always rises to the occasion.
Ricky, Ben mentioned Ranger Suarez. Where do you fit him in? How is he used? Does he see time in the bullpen? What are you going to do?
Strictly a number 4 for me right now. I think if they need him in a game 4, I think the situation pops up. Ranger will pitch that game. I mean, you don't know what you're going to get from Ranger. I'm not going to sit here and pump him up like I did at the beginning of the season. You're not really sure what kind of stuff he's going to bring to the table. If his velocity is going to be up, down, in, out. Location was off in his last. There's been a lot of stuff off with Ranger in his last couple games, but I mean, he's still your number 4 starter.
All right, prediction time. How far will the Philadelphia Phillies advance in the postseason? Ricky Bo, you're leading off.
Yeah, I think they go to the series and they take out the Baltimore Orioles.
Ooh, the Baltimore Orioles. That's not where
we won't have to drive too
that.
far to go to pre and post games.
Good point. Right down 95. Okay, Phillies over the Orioles to win the World Series. Ben?
I think the Phils win in Game 6 of the World Series versus those dreaded New York Yankees. I think it's going to be a rematch of 2009, and I think the Phillies get some revenge.
Okay, I'm going with the same thing. That's why I wanted the Mets in the NLCS, because they could have taken New York one round at a time. Unfortunately, it's not to be. They'll play the winner of the Mets-Brewers series, but then they go on, take on the Yankees, avenge 2009, and we have another parade. Isn't that beautiful? For Ben Davis, for Ricky Bottalico, I'm Michael Barkann. That's a wrap for our SNC special Red October, presented by your local Tri-State Toyota dealers, proud partners of the Philadelphia Phillies. We'll see you coming up talking about Phillies baseball.
Dear Non-Stick Surface, you're great for scrambling eggs, but to drive on, well, that's what it feels like when things get rough. Good thing we have amazing traction.